So we're reading today Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 1, Text number 9. Yadā cha pārtha-prahitaḥ sabhāyāṁ jagad-gurur yāni jagada kṛṣṇa tāni puṁsām amṛta-ayanāni rājā mene kṣata-puṇya-leśaḥ yadā ca pārtha-prahitaḥ sabhāyāṁ yadā ca pārtha-prahitaḥ sabhāyāṁ jagad-gurur yāni jagāda kṛṣṇaḥ jagad-gurur yāni jagāda kṛṣṇaḥ tāni puṁsām amṛta-ayanāni tāni puṁsām amṛta-ayanāni rājoru mene kṣata-puṇya-leśaḥ rājoru mene kṣata-puṇya-leśaḥ yadā ca pārtha-prahitaḥ sabhāyāṁ jagad-gurur yāni jagāda kṛṣṇaḥ tāni puṁsām amṛta-ayanāni rājoru mene kṣata-puṇya-leśaḥ
यानि जगद-गुरुर् तानि पुंसाम् amṛta-ayanāni mene kṣata-puṇya-leśaḥ yadā ca pārtha-prahitaḥ sabhāyāṁ Duryodhana jagada Kṛṣṇa jagad-gurū amṛta-ayanāni rājoru mene kṣata-puṇya-leśaḥ
yadā ca pārtha-prahitaḥ sabhāyāṁ jagad-gurur yāni jagāda kṛṣṇa tāni puṁsām amṛta-ayanāni rājoru mene kṣata-puṇya-leśaḥ
yadā when cha also pārtha-prahitaḥ being advised by Arjuna sabhāyāṁ in the assembly jagat-gurur the teacher of the world yāni laws jagāda when kṛṣṇaḥ Lord Kṛṣṇa never tāni such words puṁsām of all men of sense amṛta-ayanāni as good as nectar.
as good as nectar.
Rājā, the king. Dhṛtarāṣṭra Duryodhana. Guru, very important. Mene, did consider. Kṣata, dwindling. puṇya-leśaḥ, fragment of pious acts. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vijnana Goswami Prabhupada. Lord Kṛṣṇa was sent by Arjuna into the assembly as the spiritual master of the world, of the whole world. And although his words were heard by some like Bhīṣma as pure nectar, it was not so for the others who were completely bereft of the last farthing of past pious words. The king, Dhṛtarāṣṭra Duryodhana, did not take the words of Lord Kṛṣṇa very seriously. Lord Kṛṣṇa, who is the spiritual master of the entire universe, accepted the duty of a messenger and, deputed by Arjuna, went to the assembly of King Dhṛtarāṣṭra on a peace mission. Kṛṣṇa is everyone's Lord, yet because he was the transcendental friend of Arjuna, he gladly accepted the role of a messenger, exactly like an honorary friend. That is the beauty of the Lord's behavior with his pure devotees. He reached the assembly and spoke about peace, and the message was relished by Bhīṣma and other great leaders because it was spoken by the Lord himself. But neither Duryodhana nor his father Dhṛtarāṣṭra took the message very seriously due to the exhaustion of the pious results of their past deeds. That is the way of persons who have no credit of pious deeds. By past pious deeds, one may become a king of a country, but because the results of the pious acts of Duryodhana and company were dwindling, and because it became evident that from their actions that they were sure to lose the kingdom to the Pandavas. The message of Godhead is always like nectar to the devotees, but it is just the opposite to the non-devotees. Sugar candy is always sweet to a healthy man, but it tastes very bitter to persons suffering from jaundice. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yadā ca pārtha-prahitaḥ sabhāyāṁ jagat-gurur yāni jagad-gurūh. Tāni puṁsām amṛta-ayanāni rājoru mene kṣata-puṇya-leśaḥ. Lord Kṛṣṇa was sent by Arjuna into the assembly of as the spiritual master of the whole world, and although his words were heard by some like Bhīṣma as pure nectar, it was not so for the others who were completely bereft of the last farthing of pious words. The king Dhṛtarāṣṭra Duryodhana did not take the words of Lord Kṛṣṇa very seriously. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vijnana Goswami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavani Paschatarini Vanchakaupadarubhescha Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare ajanuvamritabhujau navadata sankirtanaya vidaro kamaradaksha vishvambaro dvijavaro yugadharmapalo mande jagat-gurur karunavadaro Dhṛtarāṣṭra mama vachinam prasuptam sanjīvayāta kila shakti-dharasvadhamna anyamscha hasta-charana shravanat-vāgāyam pranamnamo bhagavate puruṣāya tuಭ್ಯಂ svasya vishvasya kalah prasidatam dayantu bhutani shivam vidhodaya manascha padram vajayata dosacha yeshyatam no madhivabhyaya. Hare Krishna. Very happy to be with all of you, to see your useful enthusiasm and to be infected by it. It's a great pleasure for me to be here in Bangalore and to see how the temples are developing here. But to keep our spirit and enthusiasm high, we should go deeply into the scriptures, especially in Srimad Bhagavatam. Because if we understand really the relevance of the message of Srimad Bhagavatam to us and to everyone else, then we will be enthused all the time. What happens sometimes with people, they accept Krishna consciousness, but then, it becomes a habit. This spark of enthusiasm is being closed because we don't understand how much treasure we have in our hands. In one of the purports to the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada is writing a very peculiar sentence. He says, Arjuna was trying to avoid Krishna consciousness by using Krishna consciousness as pretext. So sometimes it happens to us. We say, I'm already Krishna conscious, I'm chanting, and that's it. But if we lose this perspective, how relevant Krishna consciousness is for us and for everyone else, then we are avoiding Krishna consciousness by using Krishna consciousness as a pretext. I'm okay. I'm fine. So, and for that we need to really understand the message of Srimad Bhagavatam, and therefore Srila Prabhupada introduced this system of us studying verses of Srimad Bhagavatam and trying to go deeper into the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. I will come back to this topic, which was actually given to me by the devotees. But first I wanted to speak a little bit about this verse. Srila Sukadeva Goswami is speaking this verse. Maharaja Parikshit was particularly interested about conversation between Vidura and Maitreya. He knew that it was a very relevant conversation, and even the questions asked by Vidura, what to speak about answers given by Maitreya, were extremely relevant. This shows a very keen interest, which we should have also. Sometimes we have an illusion that I already know this. I already heard this many, many times. What is there new? The mind is working in a very peculiar way. The mind always wants something new. And as a result, people reading all these crazy novels, which actually give the same message, but in a slightly different packaging. The message which is there in the novels is the same, just enjoy sex, that's it. There is nothing new there. But because there is some sort of, new packaging, people think that this is something new. But in case of the words of the scriptures, we repeat them again and again and again. And the mind thinks, oh, I already heard this. I am not this body. Yes, I already know. I am not this body. Do you really know I am not this body? No, we don't know. In Vedanta Sutra, it is said that the sadhana is designed in such a way that you should repeat the same thing again and again and again. And repetition is needed to overcome the anarthas which are there, to overcome the offenses which are there. We need to repeat certain things again and again and again before we really understand this. And therefore, we should read the scriptures again and again and again. And every time when we open the scriptures, we should really try to realize, that this is something very relevant to me right now. The same way as Maharaja Parikshit, he is asking this question, what was there? Please tell me. What was there? What transpired when Vidura met with Maitreya? Please tell me. What questions did Vidura ask and what answers did Maitreya give? So this sort of eagerness is the key. To understand something without eagerness, it's the same like if we're eating and there is no hunger. You're eating just mechanically. But because there is no hunger, the food turns into poison. It doesn't give you any benefit. But if there is hunger, the same food will turn into nectar. You will digest it and it will nourish you. So in the same way, if we hear just mechanically, just because we need to do this, because this is our religion, this is the way we should do, we should see it, yes, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Śrīmad Bhagavatam Ki But there is no hunger, so what is the use? All this knowledge will turn into poison, literally. Why? How is it possible that it will turn into poison? Because you will have an illusion that I already know about this. This illusion will ultimately deprive you of the essential message of Śrīmad Bhagavatam and deprive you of the benefits which Śrīmad Bhagavatam or hearing Śrīmad Bhagavatam may give. Nashta prayeshva bhadrishu nityam bhagavata sevaya. You will not be purified of all this abhadra, of all these undesirable things in the heart by listening to Śrīmad Bhagavatam if you don't have the eagerness to listen to Śrīmad Bhagavatam, if you don't understand how important it is to listen to Śrīmad Bhagavatam every day. You will just have an illusion. Yes, I know this. Yes, Dhruva Maharaj went to the forest and he was performing austerities, and yes, Lord came to him. Yes, very good, very good. So this is what may happen to us. But if there is eagerness, then this knowledge will go deeper into our heart and will nourish us, will give us strength. Every time when we listen to the message of Śrīmad Bhagavatam, we will feel invigorated and nourished more, and we will feel more energy and more enthusiasm. So this is the effect. It is said in the 11th canto of Śrīmad Bhagavatam, Bhakti Parishanu Bhavo Virakti, Anyatra Chai Shatrika Eka Kalaha. And three things happen when we do bhakti. The nourishment comes, the taste comes, and the cessation of hunger comes as much as we're taking food. So that's the criteria whether we're doing bhakti or not. If we feel this, that the tushtik shudapayonu bhasam, that tushti and pushti, the enthusiasm increases, and the energy comes to us, really, real energy. to do something, and then we become indifferent to the pleasures and temptations of this world. If this is increases every day, every time when we listen Srimad Bhagavatam, then we really listen Srimad Bhagavatam. If this effect is not there, you're eating the food, but result is poison. You're not really digesting this food. So with this great eagerness, Maharaja Parikshit is asking Sukadeva Goswami, please tell us what happened at that time. And Sukadeva Goswami doesn't go immediately to the topic which he is being asked. He first tells the background. And it's very important. That's another important point which we have to understand. It's very important for us to, to really understand deeply the relevance of the questions and answers. We need to background. Like in the story, practically the whole first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam is devoted to just one topic, to explain the background of the meeting between Maharaja Parikshit and Sukadeva Goswami. Instead of rushing into this main topic of Srimad Bhagavatam, how, what Maharaja Parikshit said and how he heard Srimad Bhagavatam and how Sukadeva Goswami explained, with great details, Sutta Goswami is explaining the background. Why does he need to know the background? Why do we need to know the background? Because if we know the background, we can come to a proper frame of mind to listen to Srimad Bhagavatam. Again, to understand how relevant it is. That this is the question which somebody who is dying should ask, and this is the answer for somebody who is dying. The somebody who is dying should hear. And who is dying? We are dying. You're dying. And I am dying. Also, of course, when you're young, you think, it's not so relevant. It is relevant. It is relevant for everyone. We are in the process of dying. But still we're foolish enough not to understand this. So the whole first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam is there to explain to us how relevant the whole message of Srimad Bhagavatam is, to prepare us to hear Srimad Bhagavatam properly. Actually, recently I spoke with Srila Radhanath Maharaj, and I asked him, what are your plans? He said, I don't know what is my plans, because I don't know when I will die. And he said, after listening to today's class, he's listening every day to Srila Prabhupada's lectures. He said, Prabhupada said that Maharaja Parikshit was very lucky because he was guaranteed that he had 7 days before his death. Nobody of us has this guarantee. And this Maharaja Parikshit was sure that he would live for 7 days. You don't know whether you will live 7 days or not. And at the same time, we're foolish enough to think, no, I'm not dying. You are dying. And it may happen any time, at any moment. We never know. It may happen right now. So this is, that's what I mean. The point which I'm trying to make is that before answering the questions of Maharaja Parikshit, Sukadeva Goswami goes into great detail so we would understand who is Vidura and why he is asking these questions, and who is Maitreya, and what are the quality of the answers which he will give. Again, to make us eager to hear the questions of Vidura and the answers of Maitreya. So, Maharaja Parikshit, Sukadeva Goswami is starting describing the whole story of Vidura, how Vidura was living with the king Dhṛtarāṣṭra, and how ultimately he was driven away from Hastinapur to travel in the holy places, and how he accepted this as a blessing. This this whole particular story is very important. Again, coming back to our original topic of the preaching spirit, this particular episode from Mahabharata and Srimad Bhagavatam, how Vidura was driven away from his very comfortable situation in Hastinapur. He was the minister. And how Vidura actually took it as a blessing. Sometimes it happens with us. It will happen with you. It happens with everyone. That you are living in a comfortable situation and you are, praying to the Lord, please keep me comfortable as long as possible, so that I could comfortably chant Hare Krishna. But something happens without your knowledge and without your desire. And Krishna just changes your situation, your comfortable situation, and puts you in a completely uncomfortable situation. So our reaction should be to this: thank you very much, Krishna. This is the best thing which can happen to me. Otherwise, I would just rot here in this comfortable situation. When Krishna is placing us into new circumstances, we should understand Krishna is very merciful to us. Srila Prabhupada, he was saying it. There was a similar episode in Prabhupada's life when he started his preaching in the West. And it was successful. There was initial success in America and the new temples and everything. And ultimately, this Los Angeles temple was there, which is the headquarters, international headquarters. It's very successful. And all of a sudden, something very strange happens. His closest disciples became inimical to him. His closest disciples, poisoned by one of his god brothers, started spreading strange rumors about Prabhupada. It happens. Actually, in this world is meant, it's a very interesting statement which it is said in Niti Shastra that this world is meant for infamy, for ninda. That's the main point of this world. If you think that you will behave in such a way that everyone will praise you, my dear friend, you're an illusion. This world is not meant for this. You will meet with this apaman. Everyone is meeting with this. Prabhupada was also like this. Prabhupada met his own disciples turned against him. His closest disciples turned against him. And he had to flee from America. He was so disgusted with everything. But before, leaving America, he came to Rukmini Dwarkadish, the main deities at that time. And he was praying and he was saying, my dear Lord, I don't know why you're doing this to me. I don't know why you're not giving me these facilities to increase the success which is there. Why are you doing this to me? But I know that must be something good. Must be something good. There was a similar episode in Bhakti Vijnana Thakur's life. He writes about this in his autobiography. He wanted to go to Navadvip, and for many years he was planning to go. He couldn't go to Navadvip. He couldn't go to Mayapur. Ultimately, everything was settled. He was posted into Navadvip. He was supposed to be the judge there, and everything was settled. And at that time, he felt sick. And for 47 days, he couldn't drink, he couldn't eat, he was only taking little milk. And he writes in his biography, at that time I was thinking, there must be something very good coming from this. because so many obstacles are there. There must be something really good. So this is the way how devotee thinks. If something happens, something wrong happens to him, he becomes very enthusiastic. Must be something good. And for the materialist, it's completely opposite. If something wrong is happening to him, he goes to the Lord and says, "What is wrong with you, my dear? I've been serving to you so diligently. What you are doing to me?" So, that's the prayer of the devotee. Devotee, he doesn't want comfortable life. He wants to serve. And service means to go out of the zone of comfort. So Vidura, when he was driven away from this, he became really enthusiastic. He said, "This is the best thing happened to me." Because also, to preach, Krishna gave him facility to preach, to go around, to sing, sometimes to preach. I started my class saying that, sometimes we became habitual devotees. Devotional service becomes tedious habit. Yes, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. The whole spirit is lost. So, therefore, it's very good in this case to travel. When we sit in one place and we got some little comfort zone in this little place, we have little room in brahmachari ashram, and we have my little, covered with my attributes of renunciation, including computer and smartphone. So we lose the perspective. We become, we become habitual devotees. But when we go out and we preach and we see how people are really suffering, how the whole world is bewildered, really bewildered. The whole world is totally bewildered, and people are trying to come to solutions, but exactly like Prahlad Maharaj predicted, people are coming to solutions, but the solutions, they're worse than the problems. That's the force of modern civilization. Many hundreds of thousands of years ago, Prahlad Maharaj made this statement that this is the way of material life. People are trying to come up with the solutions, but usually solutions are worse than the initial problem which they are supposed to solve. This is how it goes on. But the solution is there. Solution is Krishna consciousness. There is no other solution. There is really no other solution. If we understand this message, that will give us enthusiasm to preach. And if we see how everyone is suffering because of this totally misguided civilization, then the enthusiasm will be there. It will be, we will be kept enthusiastic. And therefore Prabhupada, he himself traveled, and he told his followers also to travel. Therefore he called his organization International Movement for Krishna consciousness. It's always moving. He didn't call it, international, just international society. International movement. It should move. Otherwise, we'll become stagnant. If the water is moving, the water is always fresh. But the water stays in one place, it becomes rotten, and ultimately it becomes poisonous. The same way, if we become stagnant in our life, we also become rotten. Anyway, so coming, always was carried away. Coming back to the original verse which is there, that was introduction to the verse, so the lecture starts now. It is said in this particular verse that the whole prelude of the story before Vidura was driven away by Duryodhana from Hastinapur. They said that before the war, the Kurukshetra war, Krishna was sent as a messenger to Hastinapur. And he wanted to talk peace with Duryodhana and with Dhṛtarāṣṭra, although he knew that it's not going to work. He knew, Maharaja Yudhishthira knew, Bhīṣma knew, Arjuna knew, everyone knew that even though Krishna will go there, it's not going to change anything. But still they decided to try. Krishna himself said, I'm going just to protect you from the blame. The war will be there. The war is inevitable. There is absolutely no way to escape the war because these people are too foolish and because they offended Draupadi. The people already dead because of their misdeeds. So there has to be some arrangements. It's actually said in this verse that the punya-leśaḥ, they really exhausted their punya. And because they exhausted their punya, there should be something inauspicious happening in their life. And whoever is supporting them will also be punished. Krishna said this before going. He said, they're already as good as that. But I want to protect you, pious Pandavas. You're pious. You will win in this war. But I want to protect you from this blame because there will be foolish people. And these foolish people will say, all this Maharaja Yudhishthira, because he was so ambitious, he killed all his family members. Just to impress upon everyone, it's amazing how people are foolish. Like recently I was told that there is a whole movement in India for Ravana. Ravana was very good, but he was killed by treacherous Ravana. Believe it or not, there's many, especially in Tamil Nadu or whatever, there are many followers of Ravana who are trying to completely reverse the whole story of Ramayana. So this is how people work, the mind is so perverted. And in the similar way, Krishna wanted to make sure that everything possible was done. So that nobody would blame Pandavas, nobody would blame Maharaja Yudhishthira. And Maharaja Yudhishthira himself was very apprehensive. He said, if I go there and if I start this war, then all my relatives will be killed and it will be so sinful. Krishna says, no, it's not sinful. It's not sinful. You will fight for the right cause. It's not sinful to fight for the right cause. And these people are impious. You should do it. You should not avoid this. And to encourage them and to show the extent of the fallen conditions of Dhṛtarāṣṭra and Duryodhana, Krishna himself went there as a simple messenger. And it is said specifically in this verse that he was pārtha-prahitaḥ because he was asked by Partha, because he was asked by Arjuna. It's interesting because if we read the story of Mahabharata, in Mahabharata it was mostly Maharaja Yudhishthira who was pleading to the Lord. Yudhishthira was really pleading to the Lord, you please go there, because he was the most apprehensive and he felt that this is my responsibility. But in Srimad Bhagavatam it said, pārtha-prahitaḥ. After listening the plea of Maharaja Yudhishthira, the prayer of Maharaja Yudhishthira, you please go to Hastinapur, even though it's useless, but you please go still. Krishna turned to other brothers, other Pandava brothers, 4 Pandava brothers, and he said, what would you say? Shall I go or not? And he first asked, according to the seniority, he first asked Bhīṣma, Bhīma. Bhīma, tell me, should I go there or not? Should I plead for the war, for the peace or not? And Bhīma, surprisingly enough, he said, yes, you should go, my king. And you ask them for peace. And Lord said, Bhīma, what's wrong with you? How come you want peace? You never wanted peace. How come? And Bhīma said, yeah, you should try. Because Lord Kṛṣṇa said, Bhīma, are you afraid of this war? Bhīma said, no, I'm not afraid of this war. But anyway, they are relatives. You go and plead. And then he turned to Arjuna. And he asked Arjuna, what do you say? Shall I go or not? And Arjuna, he smiled. He said, definitely you should go. You should definitely go. Just to show the world how stupid this Duryodhana is. Just to show the world how treacherous he is. Please protect yourself, but you should go there because everyone should understand what's really happening, how fallen these people are. And then Nakula and Sahadeva also confirmed this. And then Lord Kṛṣṇa turned to Draupadi and he asked her, shall I go or not? Shall I ask for peace or not? And she said, you do whatever you like. But make sure that they're all dead. You do whatever is necessary for this. Anyway, that was the whole story. And the amazing thing, which is particularly the amazing point, which is the main point of this verse, is that even though Lord Kṛṣṇa went there and he spoke beautiful words of wisdom, he spoke in a very beautiful tone, and his message was nectarian. But Duryodhana and Dhṛtarāṣṭra and some other kings, they didn't take this message seriously. Mene. They didn't take seriously this message. Why? Because they were impious. And we can see the same, it's a very interesting phenomenon. The pious people, when they hear the message of Krishna, they immediately feel that this is something really relevant and nectarian. I remember in the beginning when we started preaching Krishna consciousness in Russia, there was this mail order sending books, and many people were ordering books, and then they were sending letters back. And I remember one letter in particular. The lady was writing. She said, I'm reading Bhagavad Gita every day after receiving your book, but I can't read too much, because as soon as I start reading Bhagavad Gita, I start crying. And I'm crying and crying and crying, and then, it's so moving. And then I again try to read, and I again start crying, because I feel that every word which is there in this book is true. And it moves me so deeply that I cry. And when I read this letter, I thought, my goodness, this lady is so advanced. I'm reading Bhagavad Gita and I'm not crying. It's she's crying all the time. she's the knower of Bhagavad Gita because she knows how important it is. And she specifically said this, I'm crying because I feel that every single word which is there, it's true. This is amazing thing, those people who are pious, they read this and they immediately can relate to this, that this is true. So many people told me also when they read Bhagavad Gita, for the first time, Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, they had this amazing feeling. They said, I always knew that it must be like this, but I couldn't formulate it as well as this guy. Meaning Prabhupada. Somebody said to me, I always knew it, but he said it very nicely. The same thing which I knew. It's true that internally we know that this is true. And when we read Bhagavad Gita, there is this response, internal understanding. Krishna is actually dancing in our heart. And he says, yes, that's it. This is Bhagavad Gita as it is. Krishna is very happy when we read Bhagavad Gita. That's the feeling. That's why people have this feeling. When they read Bhagavad Gita, they have this feeling that, this is something which I always knew, because Krishna in their heart is saying this. Yes, this is exactly what I said. This is exactly what I meant when I was speaking Bhagavad Gita. This is true. This is the truths. Please take these truths. So if we keep this, if we are pious, then we will understand this. And there will be many pious people who will be rebellious, who will say that they will not take this message seriously. But still there are so many pious people, and not only this, Srila Prabhupada designed this code in such a way that the number of pious people will increase. The ISKCON is designed in such a way to increase the piety of the people. Those people who cannot take the words of Bhagavad Gita seriously, they can take some prasadam. When Prabhupada came to Australia, Australia was a British colony where all the prisoners were sent. So Australians, they are not famous for their brain. Once Prime Minister of New Zealand, he made a joke in the presence of Australian Prime Minister. And he said, I think we should send all the people from New Zealand with the lowest IQ to Australia. It will increase the average IQ of both countries. And the Australian Prime Minister couldn't understand the joke. When Srila Prabhupada came to Australia, he said, here there's no point of preaching, just open restaurants. That's the only way to reach those people. So, books are not very popular there. So anyway, so due respect to Australians. But, Prabhupada designed this movement that, whether you have piety or not, still you can get benefit from this movement, because Prabhupada was concerned about everyone. But at the same time, of course, he wanted that there will be pious people who will understand this. And we can see that those people who have some little piety, they really eagerly accept these books and really take them seriously. There is one sannyasi in Russia, Bhakti Vijnana Maharaj, and he told me how enthusiastic he became when he first read Prabhupada's books. In the beginning of 90s, when Russia just opened, and we started distributing Prabhupada's books. Actually, BBT donated at that time 200,000 books just for free to start preaching in Russia. And there were 3 books: Krishna book, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and Bhagavad Gita. They were sent from Sweden, and they were, at that time they were very unusual because there were many colorful pictures, and in Russia nothing was colorful at that time. Russia was a very grey country. So this Keshu Maharaj, he read this Bhagavad Gita and he became so enthusiastic. So immediately he wanted to share this with everyone. And he heard about Lord Chaitanya, and he started distributing. He decided to distribute these books. His method of distribution was very peculiar. He would find a bench in the street, in the walking street or whatever, and he would stood up on this bench and he started yelling on the top of his lungs, "Come here, if you want to be saved, come here. There is something, the message of Lord Chaitanya is here. The Lord Chaitanya came to save all of you. Come here, come here." And he said the crowds of people would come. They never heard about Lord Chaitanya or whatever, but they wanted to be saved. And because somebody with such conviction and enthusiasm is saying, "You will be saved just by reading these books," they were taking these books. So that's what conviction means. That's what faith means. If we really understand that we need to be saved, and here is something, here is the message of the book which can save me. Save me from this horrible repetition of birth, death, old age, and disease. Save me from all these sufferings and all these anxieties, all these useless attempts to chew what has already been chewed, trying to extract some droplets of so-called happiness. All this useless, senseless life. If we understand this, then we will be able to attract other pious people. And luckily, India still is the most pious country in the world. India still is the best country of the world by far. Of course, Russia is probably even better, but not because people are so pious there, but because people are so desperate there. Here, people are still may have some hope for some material prosperity. And Russian people are desperate, so therefore they're taking Krishna consciousness seriously too. But in any case, the point here of this verse is that we should try to distribute these books, and if people are, not pious enough to get these books and appreciate these books, we should give them some prasadam. But the most important, we should understand the relevance or importance of this book in our life. We should keep this message fresh. We should really always, as if always be in the position of Maharaja Parikshit by opening this book. Here is something which I need to know before I die. Here is something which I need to get deep into my heart. And then Srimad Bhagavatam will become very pleased with you. because Srimad Bhagavatam is alive. Srimad Bhagavatam is not just a book. Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna himself. And Krishna may reveal himself to you or may not. As much as also in Bhagavad Gita, there is, if this attitude, the proper attitude towards these books is there, you will every day experience some miracles. Krishna will speak directly to you, and he will give you the most important and the most relevant points which you need to know. Answer your difficult questions which are there, dissipating your doubts and increasing your enthusiasm and everything else. But it's all depending how relevant this book is for you and how deeply you understand the importance and the relevance of this book. Krishna will be speaking to you directly. Srila Prabhupada says in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that, if you eager to hear, and actually the whole first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam is to explain to us the method of understanding Srimad Bhagavatam. What should be the attitude? What should be our attitude to understand Srimad Bhagavatam? And Srila Prabhupada says, if you read Srimad Bhagavatam with the proper frame of mind, with the proper eagerness, you will see Krishna on every page of this book. And you will reciprocate directly with Krishna. Sometimes we expect some miracles. Krishna, why doesn't he show himself to me? Or, at least a little bit of himself. I remember, I had one friend. We started with him chanting Hare Krishna mantra. And he had very fertile brain. And every time he would come, he said, "Oh, Krishna, today he showed me his big toe." I saw a big toe. I was chanting Hare Krishna, and all of a sudden I saw this blue toe, this reddish hue. And I thought, why Krishna doesn't show his toe to me? Why he only shows his toe to him? And it's just imagination. It's just the lack of faith. But Krishna can show himself completely to you if you read this book with this proper attitude. And that's the point of this verse. Those people who have enough piety, enough pious credits, they will hear the words of Krishna or the words about Krishna as if nectar, as if amṛta. They will hear every word of Krishna and they will feel that they are rejuvenated. They will feel the eternity of the soul. They will feel the eternal message which is there. They will immediately experience that they will have real experience of the spiritual world. They will have para-ish-anubhav, the anubhav, the real experience of coming in contact with Krishna, in direct contact with Krishna. But those who are less pious, they will just read as a book, as a nice book. Those who are even less pious, they will think, Prabhupada always repeats the same thing. Those who are even less pious, they will say, yes, this book is nice, let it be in the shelf. Those who are even less pious, they will not even put it in the shelf. But depending on the level of our piety, this book, the piety, the Bhakti Sukriti, which is there, this book will reveal to us the secrets. And ultimately, as it is said here, it will give us amṛta, the eternal life. As much as it is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam himself that Maharaj Parikshit became perfect just by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam for 7 days. And he didn't die. It's a mistake to think that Maharaj Parikshit was bitten by a Takshaka snake. No. before Takshaka snake approached him, he was already in the spiritual world. He already had his spiritual form serving Krishna. He already realized everything just by listening to Srimad Bhagavatam. And the same, in the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said, the same result is there for anyone who takes Srimad Bhagavatam seriously. The same, exact same result. The takshaka of death will not bite you. You will not notice it. You will just be serving Krishna happily in the spiritual world. If you understand this message of Srimad Bhagavatam. I guess that's it. I'm too late. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Premananda.
Any questions? How to increase that piety?
The main method of increasing piety is to listen to Srimad Bhagavatam and to associate with devotees, serve devotees, especially serve advanced devotees, elevated devotees. Because when we approach them with the service attitude, they become pleased with us and they share their whatever they have with you. So just please serve the devotees, serve Prabhupada's mission. That's also important. The formula was taken from the ancient Vedic tradition that sannyasis, they would travel for 8 months, and for 4 months they would sit in one place and do Shastra Seva and do quality association. So the ratio is 2 to 1. So it doesn't mean that for 4 months we should sit in one place. It's not practical in the modern setting, but 2 to 1 ratio. 2 time to others, one part for ourselves. That's good, because if we only preach and exhaust ourselves, and it becomes really passionate, and ultimately it becomes something artificial, and we will suffer. If we only concerned about ourselves, that's also not good. But this is a very balanced ratio, 2 to 1.
Basically about the Bhakti Supriti or any other pious, because sometimes we see that many pious people in the society, they don't take Krishna seriously. So what is that pious thing that?
Yeah, we are not talking, of course, about normal material piety. We are talking about Bhakti Mukhi Sukriti, which means any contact with Krishna, Krishna's devotees, Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna Prasadam, anything which is the carrier of spiritual energy. When people come in contact with the direct representative or direct manifestations of spiritual energy in this world, like they come to the holy place, they take bath in Ganga, which is also spiritual river. It's liquid spirit. So this all gives you piety. And it is said that there are certain things they should be installed or they should be invested with spiritual energy. And there are certain things, 4 things in this world which already have, they don't need this installation. Like deity to become functional, they have to be installed first. But it is said in Chaitanya Bhagavata that there are 4 things which don't need any installation. These 4 things is Tulasi Devi. The spiritual energy is always there in the Tulasi Devi. Srimad Bhagavatam. The spiritual energy is always there in Srimad Bhagavatam. Devotees of the Lord, they don't need any installation. If you meet with a pure devotee, so no need. And Ganga, the river Ganga, this is the direct manifestation of the spiritual energy in this world. So those people who are, therefore it is said that those people who live far away from Ganga, this is impious land. But if people live near Ganga, they pass regularly pious.
People know sitting around and criticizing a lot. So this distorted mentality, how to even save ourselves in every kind of stuff like, because they also have a lot of supporting things, arguments to say that how Gauda was good. So how this intelligence is coming and how we can be saved from this distorted intelligence.
Can you come a little closer? Because
So, Maharaj, the question was about the thought that you told about people worshipping Lord Kṛṣṇa and criticizing Lord Rājā. So, my question was like, they also would have a lot of arguments in favor of their statements. So, this intelligence, that distorted intelligence that comes in our then it was possible. So, how can we ourselves remain safe from this kind of undiscrimination between Adharma and Dharma?
how we can protect ourselves from this propaganda?
Yeah.
I don't listen to this. Because when we listen to blasphemy, it affects our mind. Better to avoid this. It's like, it's as if asking, how can we protect ourselves from contamination from the stool by, touching the stool. It's very difficult to protect from this contamination if you're touching the stool. Stool is stool. No matter, if you touch it, you will be contaminated. So it's better to avoid it altogether.
Thank you so much for this wonderful association. Maharaj, when you answered this 2:1 ratio with respect to that balancing, was it for generic or you told only for sannyasis? Like I got to...
No, it's not only for sannyasis. It's, sannyasis. Don't worry about sannyasis. I will tell you something for sannyasis. Because it's not relevant. It's for everyone. We should, of course we have some other, occupations and duties and everything else, but still, whatever time we have, we should also try to, see that we serve others. We are meant for serving others. We are not meant for ourselves. And to serve others properly, we of course have to take care of ourselves. We have to take care of our near and dear ones, but it's for everyone. It's for everyone. 2 times for others, 1 time for ourselves. One part.
Thank you for again emphasizing on the attitude to play Bhagavad. It was very relevant and helpful. So I wanted to know that 2:1 ratio which we emphasized. So how one can understand that one is following this. So generally we hear that we need to see whether our seniors are pleased with us, and if they are, then probably we are nearby that ratio of 2:1. Second one is that we also feel dryness or we see lack in our spiritual ecstasy or happiness. So both are the ways. So in case we have to judge which one we should give more importance, because sometimes the seniors do not know what is going on with us. So we might have to have a good conversation with them. And in case after all we have to decide, we should give that importance that whether the seniors are pleased.
Seniors are your well-wishers, and if you reveal to them what is going on in your heart, they will understand. we should have, trust to our seniors. If we don't have trust to our seniors, then something is wrong. So we should have complete trust that the seniors are well-wishers, and they should, know what is going on within our heart, and they will be pleased when they see that you sincerely trying to increase your Krishna consciousness, whatever is necessary for this. Of course, we have duties to perform. This is important, and we have to be dutiful and responsible. But at the same time, we should not neglect our internal need for internal development. And if we feel that there is some imbalance in our life, we should reveal this to our seniors.
We want to do some of your pastimes during Russian preaching, something different.
It's already too late for pastimes in Russian preaching. They should come again. It's already 9:30.
As continuation to that, so sometimes suppose our chanting is not doing good and we have preaching services, then we feel that I should give more time for reading Bhagavatam so that my chanting improves, but that may not really work out. So I follow instructions of my superiors, and whatever way they arrange.
You should tell, I need this time for reading and chanting. You should tell them.
But always this may not work out. The chanting is not going good, so I should just do sadhana, it will improve. That may not be always the case, right?
No. It should be healthy balance. We are not meant for doing sadhana all the time. We are too restless. The mind is too restless. Don't overestimate your eagerness for sadhana. Maybe just you. May have a false foundation in your desire to avoid some other services. Okay, we should finish now. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.